My mother worked with a lot of Indian co-workers who gave her a lot of vegan recipes, because my dad's a vegan. I think for a long time I wasn't really one to experiment with food on a menu. But now I almost always make it a point that if I go to a restaurant, I want to try something I haven't tried before. Sometimes it backfires. Sometimes it do. But that's life. All that chit-chat now done. We're in the best of 5 finals. TvT. One we've seen before. In the top left of Lightshade, we have Liquid Clem. Blem. 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 In the bottom right is the Red Terran for Mouse Esports. It is HeRoMaRinE. And we've seen this many times. Clem was on the up and up last year and then was struggling against HeRoMaRinE in the finals. They both would get there pretty reliably, would struggle against them. That was also back when Clem was struggling in TvT in general. It's changed. It has very much so changed. Over the last 6 months, I would say, it's become more and more clear that Clem is just the better player. And then, specifically in the last 4 to 5 months, yeah, I'd say it became very clear that he is one of the best TvTers. Not just of Europe, where there's not a lot of TvT happening, but, like, in general. He is taking TvTs off of TY, which is always, even if TY is having a bad day, all the usual excuses, oh, it's 6 a.m., oh, it's paying, you know, still is a good sign for your TvT. So I think Clem will win this. I'm gonna say 3-1, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 3-0. HeRoMaRinE, while I think has his playstyle, I think works well enough with TvT, and he's obviously a smart player. He kind of just goes by the book for a lot of things. That can sometimes mean that he's solid, but not really reaching a lot of peaks. Whereas Clem, you know, initially, back when he was kind of bad at TvT, he had a lot of peaks. He would play, like, in one particular game, he'd micro his heart out and kill 6 SCVs where no one else would have. But his macro would only be good enough, right? Like, not super amazing. Whereas instincts about mid-game engagements would be totally off. They'd be like watching a guy playing TvP and TvT. But that is no longer the case. He's fixed all of that. And so when he spikes by killing 6 additional SCVs, that just means that he's even further ahead than anyone else would have been. So I think HeRoMaRinE is going to struggle against him. I'm actually curious if they've had any matches where HeRoMaRinE's finally gotten some serious revenge. The day Ligulac dies is the day that any analysis dies, I swear to God. When a Ligulac finally goes off, there's like, oh, I don't want to pay for the server, I don't care to make a donation goal. You're gonna watch us get up on an analyst stage in like an IEM and just go, just kidding. Ah, look at that. It's actually been a lot more. Oh, well, hold on. Clem getting some kills, trying to anyways. So I must have missed the one Open Cup in February where HeRoMaRinE 3-0'd Clem. And then oh yeah, there was that Home Story Cup that happened that I definitely didn't watch any of them. Where HeRoMaRinE is able to 3-1, so it's not been super one-sided. And most recently for Wardy's Spring Championship, HeRoMaRinE actually won the best of 3. My expectations were more based off of the last Open Cup, where Clem did dominate 3-0. But it's definitely not cut and dry. So a little Reaper scuffle, not really turning into anything. Equal worker counts, pretty equal orbital timings, both getting Ravens. The difference is that Clem's Reapers died and HeRoMaRinE didn't. Apollo is the guy that asks where his hug is? No, don't make Apollo that guy. That guy's the worst. God, no. No. I guess he is that guy who is like, he thinks you're on friendlier terms than you actually are. Oh, loses a Cyclone order mine. Excellent value there for HeRoMaRinE. Yeah, he's that guy that like thinks that you're like best friends. So like you're sitting and chatting with people you actually like, and this guy that you like is okay but not great comes over and sits next to you and is like, "What's up, guys? What you talking about?" And you're like, "Oh man." I guess that's Apollo. HeRoMaRinE actually having just a much better game. I mean, it started with him killing 2 Reapers for the price of almost nothing, and that was great. But that really didn't matter. And then it turned into a Cyclone getting bopped by a Wood of Mine, and Clem, not just the direct trade of obviously Wood of Mine for Cyclone, so much better for the Wood of Mine guy, but literally just the idea that Clem got a second Cyclone. You don't get a second Cyclone unless you think you're up against like a Banshee player, which is very rare in TvT, or you're actually trying to do something with 2 Cyclones. Most of the time, you'd much rather have a tank, so that plan, what Clem wanted to do, is totally gone now. And then HeRoMaRiNE's Reapers actually get more damage done. So HeRoMaRiNE is in the better position in almost every way, but it's very slight. A couple more SCVs, a couple more army supply, a couple seconds faster on the stim. And getting the tank shot on the Cyclone, you know, it's relatively small things. If we're going to get to a position where there's 6 tanks and 30 Marines and 2 Ravens, like it's probably more going to be about who drops better, who positions better, but speaking of positioning, but things are going a lot better for HeRoMaRiNE. Clem, I was probably thinking about a dive, but then didn't really know how far away HeRoMaRiNE's army was. It could have been here, it could have been here. Very safely sieges up. And then I think you gotta at some point realize that with their 2 Ravens, it's unlikely that 2 tanks and like 10 Marines are really going to hold a position. Auto turret coming down with the Viking shot. Oh, but then Clem's Vikings, they're a little late to the party and aren't going to be able to kill the Raven in retaliation. This is actually getting so weird. Things are happening. Vikings to Vikings, HeRoMaRiNE wins that war, saves both of his Ravens, and then bullies Clem's 2 tanks back home, which are going to siege up or try to, but the Interference Matrix plus the auto turret's coming down. SCVs have to be pulled, and Clem's attack on the back actually took so long to get here that it really didn't turn into a surround at all. Auto turrets aplenty go down to try and save the day, but Clem has already taken way too much damage. He's gotten 17 of his workers killed, and while he does clean up all of HeRoMaRiNE's army, that is a plus, obviously. 17 workers down, just straight up, is huge. With that entire cleanup, you know, no tanks survived, none of the Ravens survived, Clem has hope. He can maybe find something to do, but he's gonna have to be very on point. Now, it's possible that HeRoMaRiNE, I think this is more possible, I think that HeRoMaRiNE just won't really have, because his lead isn't so much that he just literally takes his Marines and runs across the map. It's not that big of a lead. I think it's more likely that HeRoMaRiNE defends well, and then we get into a fairly long TvT in which HeRoMaRiNE has better upgrades, better army supply, you know, and eventually wins the game. Clem's best maneuver, I don't even think it's this. Well, actually it is this. Oh, it is this. Okay, no, this is his best maneuver. He's got 13 more army supply. After this, I think his best maneuver is to keep his tanks at home and do a bunch of drops, but that's for later. He's got a little bit of an opportunity here since he did clean up HeRoMaRiNE's army so well and good. Couldn't carry the refinery. Means that HeRoMaRiNE can reposition his tanks, one until he gets fired upon, however. Clem loses a medevac that was going to transport more units, is forced to run away with the tanks, but a drop in the main base is actually doing some pretty nice damage. 8 SCVs already going down. Jeez, 9 SCVs go down. Maybe a couple of Marines, maybe a couple of Vikings. I think go for the SCVs. Yeah, he goes for the SCVs. So 12 SCVs get taken down. 13 at the end of all of that, which almost evens up the worker count. Very close to it. But do keep in mind that that's an attack later on in the game. HeRoMaRiNE has already made the money and invested a lot of that money. So he ultimately still is better off here. But that was a very important attack, no doubt about it. Clem takes the opportunity when he actually had it. Didn't wait too long, didn't not wait long enough. You know, it was perfect timing. Goldilocks of timing. People say Ehan timing, should really say Goldilocks. And he might be able to continue on with it. HeRoMaRinE now has a 1-1 Marine advantage, but his Marines got to be in location to actually take advantage of it. They were a little out of position, but quickly returned to the third base to defend it. Clem's not going to find opportunity there. And HeRoMaRinE defends the third base while also getting his fourth base into a planetary. If Clem knew that that was so aggressively placed, then he might have gone there first, but that was just very, very quick timing on HeRoMaRinE's part. Clem's also getting his fourth base, I think at a more, I mean, not just because he was down in SCVs, but just more neutral timing, I suppose. Still doesn't know about the fourth base at all. Sensor tower is going to be the first thing to reveal it to him. Some Marines are going to go check it out and be like, oh, shit. JK. HeRoMaRinE continuing the 2-2. He's going to keep that pretty nice upgrade advantage. Clem's armory is even maybe a little bit late. But this game has settled a little bit. So in that way, my prediction is still pretty true. But it's actually HeRoMaRinE who's sieging up his tanks and putting his Marines out in the front lines. Which means that there is an opportunity for Clem to overwhelm them if his entire army is here. But if his entire army's here, that means, yeah, there's nothing back at home defending. And thus is the yin and yang of TvT. One tank is going to siege on that high ground, which should be good enough with the reinforcements coming home. Tank first, not the best way to do it, though. Third CC is going to lose a lot of mining time, which Clem needs. But he is going to take it. Oh, whoa, HeRoMaRinE not actually paying attention. Doesn't even take the fight. Loses a handful of Marines before finally stimming and getting the heck out of there. Clem with very limited map vision. I think is aware that there could be another attack elsewhere, so he pulls back, doesn't chase that completely down. He has nothing defending or scouting his bottom left, so his fourth base could be under fire. It's not, fortunately for him, just a Liberator coming through. Won't be able to kill a planetary. Actually, Clem also has a Liberator going through. Look at that. Trying to siege up maybe here. Vikings have always been around the third base, though. I'm not sure Liberators really got a lot to do. Marines spot it, Vikings go kill it. Clem trying to find some positioning. Uh-oh. Ooh. 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 Okay, this Marine just spotted it. Clem was also going to go into the vision of the sensor tower. But that couple extra seconds is big. HeRoMaRinE pulls back. No base trade. Defend, 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 defend. HeRoMaRinE already adding on those starports. He's got a lot of cash. Already going into a fifth base. Well, thinking twice about it. He's going to focus about the defense first. Could have been a misclick as well. But HeRoMaRinE's continuing his upgrade lead, which Clem was really late to. I mean, his armory was like a couple seconds late, but it just forgot to start 2-2 while things were happening. Or didn't have enough gas because he got attacked. That's most likely what was happening. So HeRoMaRinE has this amazing upgrade lead, but hasn't really been able to use it. It's not really been a direct fight. Clem's either always had his tanks with him, or HeRoMaRinE's just not really finding just pure Marine to fight against, basically what it is. So HeRoMaRinE, I mean, with the Ravens out, he has the superior army. He does have the superior army, but it always gets a little more complicated than that. If Clem was just defending back at home, turtling, scared, with Marine tank, the Ravens would bust him. He'd be dead, eventually. But Clem is not that type of player, first of all, and it's also just the wrong thing to do in TvT, no matter what stage you're in. You want to be active on the map, constantly doing things if you can. But especially, that's what you want to do. Oh, it didn't work. That did not work for Clem. He wanted to split attack the fourth base and the third. Instead, the split attack gets kind of cut in half. And that was half of his army dead as well. Clem is going to jump on top of these tanks, however, and get both of those. And HeRoMaRinE this time around is one that's kind of awkwardly going back home around the bend. The third CC actually gets straight up killed. The Ravens cast a couple of interference pitch, but still 5 tanks firing for Clem. And they are winning the fight right now. HeRoMaRinE very eagerly dropping on top of the tanks and is going to take that fight. Clem now down 50 overall supply, and it's like, it's great that you killed a third CC, but he was building a 6th, so he just places that back down. This 5th will turn into a planetary, and Clem is still in a desperate position. Being the more mobile one was his benefit, but it didn't quite work out well enough. He's gonna try and take the fight in the middle, which should go well for him. His tanks are already sieged. One interference pitch is not gonna be enough. And Clem is on 4 bases. Maybe he could sneak this 5th base somewhere. Maybe the very bottom left. But he needs time. He needs time to replace this army, and what he's replacing is not a very good army. Well, HeRoMaRinE continues to build up tanks and Ravens and Marines. Everything. HeRoMaRinE does replace the third as an orbital, has an extra orbital around his fourth. So much production in the main, even adding more. Clem, as soon as he's forced to do nothing but defend, that's when he's going to really start losing this game. Since he's been out on the map, it can be a little more back and forth, things can happen, concaves can work, Ravens can be misfired, whatever. But as soon as he goes into pure defensive mode, it's going to be bad. Finds a chunk of Marines from HeRoMaRinE, but it's a kind of a comical fight. Clem's tank count is intimidating, but his Marines are not healed. His medevac count's non-existent. Well, manages to afford an actual 5th base, turning into a planetary now. Things still possible for Clem. Gonna try and break through the middle. That never happens when tanks are around, however. You just don't break through this middle. Even if the rocks weren't here, that's still such a choke. Never gonna happen. HeRoMaRinE is just like, can you just let me win? Can you just like let me have an opening? Good God. The Raven count will eventually make an opening. It will force an opening. Oh, he finally found one. Okay, yep, there it is. SCVs were not repairing, but I don't think it would have mattered. Clem now feeling perhaps desperate, just finding an opportunity, saying, well, you're all the way over there. Maybe I can do it in the middle. Doesn't actually work out. Has to kind of reevaluate. Scans and sees the army actually responding to his movements, which means that his third base is right now safe. HeRoMaRinE is going to save his own third, too. There's that maybe hidden base at the bottom left. I like it. Both of them have not really scouted that location. Clem is almost maxed out again. HeRoMaRinE's been there and also banking. He's got better upgrades, a 3-3 done for a while at this point, too. Clem's still working on his, and he has the Ravens. But there's still a chance. Clem's very good at making these chances work. HeRoMaRinE's little tiny hit squad on the third isn't going to do very much damage. What it is going to do is open up an opportunity right into the mid. Clem has no idea. Clem lost all sight in the middle as soon as his army returned home. And now he's going to be forced into a very awkward base trade. He's got to go straight for the heart of HeRoMaRinE's production. You can't really stop on planetaries in this situation. Clem, do you have anything in the main base? Actually, he already does. He already has 2 tanks. Well timed. Siege up in the main. That's going to help, but not enough. There's like 8 Ravens. They're going to interfere switch the heck out of that. Clem will eventually get his main broken. What about HeRoMaRinE? HeRoMaRinE basically had nothing to defend. His tanks go into a slaughter of Marines, and that is maybe a chance for HeRoMaRinE or Clem again to win by actually getting on top of HeRoMaRinE's production just a bit faster. They both are going to lose all of it. That's pretty much a guarantee at this point. But HeRoMaRinE has more planetaries to build his factories around. It's exactly what he's going to get into, his factory production. Then adding on the barracks. Clem trying to do the same thing. He's got this kind of secret base at the bottom left. He's floating his buildings. We got ourselves a base race that I've been kind of, wondering if this is going to happen. It's been like 2 or 3 times. In this TvT where I'm like, yeah, the base race, I guess it's not going to happen. It finally does. HeRoMaRinE still has that superior army on a technical count. If the Ravens were actually used accurately, interference makes anti-armor missile, auto turrets, that is a better army. But it gets really difficult to use those super technical armies when we're talking about a base race, because it's all about speed, it's all about making the right decisions in a half a second notice. So this is a very good chance for Clem to win this game. He takes care of the planetary, takes care of an extra orbital, is going to find the top right base while the production is being rebuilt faster than HeRoMaRinE gets down to the bottom left, but he's still coming. The orbital actually flew over and saw it. He's going to have to take a pit stop at the planetary, and Clem is actually going to want to repair this, but then doesn't actually click the repair button. I mean, it would have been like seconds extra, right? So we're not talking about like live or die by that planetary, but I think those second extra is actually kind of important. 7 more Marines could be important in this type of situation. Clem actually still has their army supply, and he's finally finished up his 3-3. Thank God the 3-3 finished during the base race, because that could have easily been sniped. And I'm feeling this more and more for Clem, just because of the way that he can take these fights. Whereas HeRoMaRinE's got to be so prepared. He's got to see where the army is coming in from and how it's coming into him to use his Ravens accurately. But if the Ravens are used, if the anti-armor missile into maybe auto turrets on top of the tanks, or as just a defensive. He's so many auto turrets. It could just be a defensive line. I don't know. The high-tech auto truck actually fit. Oh my god. The planetary had range this entire time. Oh, it's so funny. But it does kill one tank. The rest of the tanks will take care of it. HeRoMaRiNE's production is actually up and running. He's building 2 tanks. He has 2 starports. Clem building in the middle of the map more Marines. I don't know. I don't know anymore. HeRoMaRiNE's now up in army supply since he's been able to build. Clem, it's just, he's rebuilding a command center. He lost all of his command centers. Well, HeRoMaRiNE, I guess this is what's going to happen, is that HeRoMaRiNE just picks a spot to defend, and then that's something that Clem can't, he can't break a defensive line. Oh my god, he was thinking about it though. He was fucking thinking about doing a doom drop on top of that army. I mean, this might not be so bad for Clem. He finds 2 tanks immediately. He's gonna actually try to escape, but oh, takes a shot to the face. He's gonna try and just take care of the base while he has the opportunity to do so. Oh, this is tough without Vikings. This game is just so tough. There's the reinforcements actually getting Clem. No, he can't cancel it! Oh my god! And he's not gonna cancel it either. GG. Realizing that if there's production rallying, that's not a good sign. I'm not gonna win this game. Taps out. Oh boy, what a game though. Clem was on the back foot for 16 minutes. And chose all the right things. I'd say the way he played that game gave him the best chance. And HeRoMaRiNE was too solid. Didn't let any of these problems actually result in anything. The whole, you know, maybe getting out positioned or getting out microed. HeRoMaRiNE didn't let that happen. Well, that was a very cool game 1. Very cool, thank you. Let's see what game 2 has on our mana side. Bottom right, down 1. He is Team Liquid's Clem. Top left, Red Terran. It's HeRoMaRiNE. HeRoMaRiNE gets one very, very, very good attack. Things turned way awkward. And then kind of just carries through. Doesn't make any huge mistakes. On one hand, maybe you could say because he didn't take any greater risks, it did go on for as long as it did. Maybe HeRoMaRiNE should have done something a bit riskier to try and end the game quicker. You could argue that if you wanted to be totally negative because you hate HeRoMaRiNE. But really the safest, smartest thing that he did is what he did. And for Clem, the best potential that he could have, he created it. It just didn't really quite follow through. They both played excellent versions of TvT in the positions that they were in. HeRoMaRiNE was just in a much, much better position from the get-go. So that's got to change. A lot of professional players take the first thing that went wrong and kind of examine that. If you lose 16 SCVs to a Hellion drop, is there really a reason to look at the 20-minute army fight and be like, oh, my concave wasn't good enough? I mean, it's not the thing you're going to focus on most of. Just maybe this big Gabe seemed to be the better TvT player lately. He won the last best of 3 they played, 2-1, but then Clem won the best of 5, 3-0 before that. So I think it's pretty back and forth. Hello? Don't lose an SCV. They both are scouting a factory expand. Oh, he wants it. He wants it. You're not gonna get it, though. Holds up the Reaper a little bit. It's the most that an SCV can do after it's stayed around so long. And now the Reaper fights will begin. HeRoMaRinE being cheeky. Stay in that brush, brother. Be secret. Super secret. It's really just waiting for the second Reaper anyways. Clem's looking around for any potential proxy racks or proxies in general, I suppose. Maybe not even proxies, just looking for an SCV that's tucked away, waiting to scout. I don't know, but he does check his corners. And now he has 2 Reapers. HeRoMaRinE has 2 Reapers. It's not much that's gonna happen right here, right now. Biggest difference is that HeRoMaRinE's continuing to build Reapers. Clem went for one very safe Hellion and then into a Widow Mine, which also can be safe if it's, you know, planted in right positions. And then into a starport faster than HeRoMaRinE. HeRoMaRinE's going to go for the big punch to the face. Clem's going to be a little more subtle. Let's see if he actually dodges out of the punch or he gets knocked on his butt. HeRoMaRinE should know that a Widow Mine is extremely possible. Hellion's gonna guard it though. Oh, the Hellion. Oh, and it kind of, oh my goodness, actually so effective. Oh, I'll get into it in a second. 2 extra Marine should be enough for this. But, so not only does the Hellion, like, block the where the targeting reticle is actually coming from. You can't see the Widow Mine anyways, but it blocks, like, where it's coming from. The Hellion shot actually kind of, like, went in the same line as the targeting thing as well. I never realized how extra effective putting a Hellion on top to hide it is. That's intentional? It's very cool. Was just enough to defend. It can go better sometimes for the Widow Mine. If it pops off, it can make it the easiest fight in the world. That HeRoMaRinE leaves with a couple of units. Clem leaves with a totally unbothered natural, which is a little more important because that's what HeRoMaRinE wanted to do. He wanted to bother the natural, maybe even get his Reapers into the main base. It's actually Clem getting into the main base, getting 1, 2, maybe 3 SCVs. 3 SCVs in total. Clem gets a Raven, is going into... Oh, he's already... His tank just popped, that's what it is. HeRoMaRinE has 2 Cyclones. So this is something that Clem was doing last game as well. Wanted to get into the pressure. Wanted to actually just continue to wave his hands in front of HeRoMaRinE's face and be like, I can't do anything, can't do anything. And then Widow Mine popped off and killed that hope. HeRoMaRinE might be able to do the thing. Might be able to say, I'm not touching you, and just kind of guard around an army or around a base. Bit of miss micro, to be honest. And face first into the tank almost. But it's not gonna happen this game. 3rd CC is ambitious to be put this fast on location. Even when it's, you know, it seems safe enough. He does defend it. And the reason he defends it is that a tank is already out, sieged up, in position. The Cyclones, if both Cyclones had been able to get a lock on to the command center when it was at, you know, 25, 30% health, it might actually die. And if it got locked onto the tank before it's sieged, that would die. And that can be the power of the Cyclones. They also can more obviously grab the Ravens if they go over a cliff. It's a thing the Cyclones can do, but unlikely to actually happen. A couple of spotter units right now. I mean, it's the best thing you can do with them. The Cyclone's been parked in the upper right in case a Liberator or a Medevac comes in for harassment. HeRoMaRinE's 3rd CC was just faster in general, so his 3rd on location's a bit faster, turning already in orbital. Clem's orbital just now on the way. Stim on the way for both parties. Clem's is faster. And his 1-1's also already started, so the benefits of not going into as many Reapers and Hellions. Clem also has double the tank count. HeRoMaRinE didn't just go into the Reapers and Hellions, but an additional Cyclone that's getting more and more useless over time. And the TvT lol is here. We just chill out, eat some Cheez-Its, drink some Mountain Dew, do the gamer thing. I know it's Cheetos, but I don't know. Cheetos do that like Captain Crunch thing for me, where they like just like scrape the top of my my mouth, you know? And it kind of like, I don't know, just an unpleasant experience. Don't get me wrong, occasionally I will desire an entire box of Captain Crunch. And my mouth will hate me. But it's unpleasant. So Cheetos do the same thing. I don't really want to eat Cheetos. I think Cheez-Its are superior. It's fine. Cyclones are getting a lock on to a Raven and a Viking, and that's exactly what they wanted. Don't quite get it, but even the couple extra seconds that Clem turns home to repair it can be big. Cyclones also don't die though, so kind of a wash. And there's the repair. They both are set up, going into 4 bases. Combat shield's finishing. 2-2 is not quite on the way for our boy Clem, who's, I want to say, actually has a fairly consistent issue with that. Not to the point that he loses games a lot of the time because of it. But still, I feel like I've noticed his slightly later armories and slightly delayed upgrades more often than I've noticed HeRoMaRinE. I guess HeRoMaRinE is known for being the superior macro player. I'm not sure that's really true. It's just like the way that he plays is a little more macro-oriented a lot of times, so we kind of just still have that. You know, if you had to choose who was the macro and the micro player, I think the answer's pretty obvious here, but Clem's macro sometimes might be better. Anyways, 2-2 starts up, but he had a lead with that 1-1, a pretty considerable one. It's actually been bridged. In fact, HeRoMaRinE slightly ahead, a couple of seconds. So upgrade should not matter as much. Double drop to the main. I mean, it was scanned. That's a red scan right there. Oh, because it's not to the main, just on the high grounds. Maybe looking for more of a surround in case HeRoMaRinE was trying to... Well, HeRoMaRinE wouldn't be running back home. He's trying to pick his 4th base. Still, more of a concave, and maybe he does pick those up again later on and does the drop, still outside of the tower range, right? HeRoMaRinE's totally prepared for this 3rd drop. Nuh-uh. Main base also prepared. Defended with a Viking-Raven combination. Now, that means that that's not on the front lines. And Clem just scanned. That is not on the front lines. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Oh my god, that's also not gonna work. That's exactly what HeRoMaRinE is hoping he would do. Oh my god. It's like he lured him into the mousetrap and just like laughed in glee when the neck broke. Jesus. 2 medevac drops, not the biggest of deals at this point. 4 base to 4 base, both went on 5 bases. Well, soon enough for HeRoMaRinE, but still. That was perfect execution. You can't make a better Clem trap. I feel like cereal shaping your mouth if you let it soak longer. Would that only be fair if all cereal scraped the roof of my mouth? But this isn't an issue that I have with all cereal. And if you let Captain Crunch soak longer just to make it soggier, I mean, then you have fucking soggy cereal. No one likes that. HeRoMaRinE has 2 separate armies. Now that could backfire, but it seems to be doing well so far. He's actually getting quite close to the extra command centers of Clem. And Clem's response to this is too late. Oh, he's actually trying to break this? Oh, Marines through the choke with extra tanks on the side. I guess he did break the forward tanks and the Vikings went on these ones, so it wasn't too bad, but that means that his 3rd base is entirely undefended because he had to force everything through that choke. And it seems like HeRoMaRinE is having the better TvT day, man. TvT day? Yeah, that's about right. It's not the end of the game, but a 3rd CC lost. And a lot of Marines lost for Clem, too. I mean, HeRoMaRinE does come out of that with a net gain. 100%. But not super huge. I mean, for how many tanks were sieged up, and the 1 Raven got tackled before it even got an interference matrix? I thought that was going to go much worse. End up very even supply. The extra command centers are going to replace this third orbital pretty quickly. The HeRoMaRiNE starting to accrue a bit more of a bank. It's actually HeRoMaRiNE, however, who's gotten that 3-3, so if Clem doesn't just lose the game because of this fight, he'll have that advantage, but this is a good fight for HeRoMaRiNE as he takes out a lot of tanks that's usually considered better. HeRoMaRiNE might have to replace these Marines, but that's faster and cheaper than replacing tanks. But again, the supplies are very, very even. Clem just holding the line with 2 tanks. There we go, because HeRoMaRiNE's busy rebuilding the army he just gave away. Viking count remains mostly untouched as well for Clem, which has been fairly consistent amongst these battles. Clem thinks he can go on top of the tanks, decides, nope, never mind, I can't, but I could just wait for the Liberator as well. And HeRoMaRiNE's the one in trouble, but only temporarily. HeRoMaRiNE's got Vikings building right now. As we speak, 6 Vikings are on the way. HeRoMaRiNE has taken the middle left and top right base. Clem has nothing seeing that, nothing stopping it from happening. He's happy to focus on this middle fight while also expanding to the top right. And that's where we're at. Focusing on the middle. Liberator's bullying HeRoMaRiNE backwards, but HeRoMaRiNE, you know, he's got some room before he really has to start to worry about that. And all this room that he has means that he's building an eventually better Viking count. 3-3 is finishing for Clem as HeRoMaRiNE starts his, though, so... HeRoMaRiNE made me look like a fool. Just saying that he usually does it better, more often. That's big, man. It's been a lot about the tanks. It's a lot about the tanks and Vikings and Liberators. But when it comes back down to the Marine versus Marine fight, 3-3 is a huge advantage. Should be super easy for Clem to take those fights. But it is so much more about this tank Liberator deal. And the Liberators are about to have Liberator range, making it easier to take advantage of the superiority. HeRoMaRiNE forced to get into those own Vikings. Kind of has to make sure not to go overboard on the Vikings. You don't want to have 20 Vikings, 10 Marines, and try and take a fight against a guy with 30 Marines. It's not going to make any sense. But it's really where it's coming down to in TvT. Eventually, you both focus on the air, as long as you both have an economy. And maybe one person makes the strategic decision of having a more mobile army. It generally is so much more about keeping the economy and keeping your air superiority. And you should eventually see people add on Ravens as well. But the Viking Liberators came out so fast and so powerful for Clem. He's going to continue holding it. Viking War in the air is always a bit silly. 9 Vikings to 9. Clem's currently losing that battle. He does win the ground battle, takes down a planetary with the tanks. And HeRoMaRiNE can't really do a whole lot to chase. That's one thing that tank Viking Liberator is not specifically good at is chasing. Upgrades still aren't done for HeRoMaRiNE's Marines, so even if he wanted to try and chase after that, he would have lost 100%. Against what Clem has. And now Clem's also taking the very, very top right while continuing to add on command centers. It feels like HeRoMaRiNE had that one really nice maneuver to kill the third orbital. It's gone and forgotten now. It doesn't even really impact the game. Instead, it's turned into Clem bullying HeRoMaRiNE. Another big fight coming down. Liberators trying to join on the anti-air actions, always a bit awkward. And then Marines going upwards into a choke, into tanks. Did not work out super well for Clem's ground army, but he won the air fight. And now he just needs a couple Liberators to come forward and help out. They are just started though, so that's not going to result in a lot of wiggle room. HeRoMaRiNE on additional command centers as well is going to have plenty of scans to make sure that you can't see top forward despite the Viking lead. And HeRoMaRiNE, well, he's continuing to build Vikings. So every time we think we see one person winning, just keep in mind what's actually producing on the production tab. 7 Vikings for HeRoMaRiNE, only 3 for Clem, because he's trying to get those Liberators. And they both are upgrading their air. Get Liberator range almost done for HeRoMaRiNE. You know, we predicted this to not go into 25-minute games. And here we are in the second game trying to go to it as close as possible. Thanks, guys. Clem is not winning these air battles in the last minute. Might be getting a little bit scary. He's still trying to win it, though. Still building Vikings and Liberators. They both are trying to add on those miscellaneous upgrades as well. I think Clem got medevac boost finished during one of those fights. Yeah, kind of looked comical because it didn't help whatsoever, but it did finish. Rather see some high sec auto tracking and building armor. Surprised that hasn't finished up. Liberators once again trying to help in the air. I mean, they soak shots, which is not bad with Viking overkill. So Clem's gonna win the air war again. And the back and forth continues. I believe Clem has given away SCVs. 14 SCVs while still being at 85. He definitely had too many before that. And I think both of them will probably give away a good 15, 20 more before this game is out on purpose. Unless things get real topsy-turvy. Scans going down everywhere for both players. They're both trying to see the economy of each other, and they're gonna get good reads on it too. They see everyone's bases. The Raiders have been the top right. HeRoMaRinE trying to move in is kind of moving into like multiple locations and not really doing well in either place. The TvT tank war is a brood war. The tank line's starting to show here a little. Except that brood war did not have Vikings. They had Goliaths, I guess, but they had Battlecruisers. And boy, I tell ya, Battlecruiser game, brood war, not that fun. We might get into Battlecruisers this game, though. We might. It takes a lot for TvT to go into Battlecruisers, though. Like, a lot. Because, you know, there's just the feeling that there's so much more you could be doing than trying to build slow-building, expensive units that also take up a lot of your supply. You could be trying to build Marines, try and outposition your opponent, or try and win the Viking War, of course. Which it doesn't look like Clem's doing this time around. He is definitely not. Forced to retreat. As it is clear he was losing. Also forced to retreat with the tanks as well, and that's always the fear. HeRoMaRinE doesn't just win the Viking War, he also has Liberators ready to go. As soon as he wins the Viking War, he's going to siege hop them forward, and Clem is out of anti-air besides the Vikings. His Marines are all dead, his Vikings are losing. Here come the reinforcements, but are they too late? They're gonna try to take the fight once again, but HeRoMaRinE still has 6 more Vikings. And the Liberators, I don't know if they're really helping out enough with the anti-air. I guess they're helping somewhat. They do have a little bit of splash, and Vikings can clump up, but it's just not impressive. Oh, this Viking War! It's a lot closer than we've seen previously, and Clem finally going to push this back. So he's going to save his top right again, but you know, this has been a lot of HeRoMaRinE pushing into Clem's top right. The last 2 minutes, it's kind of been HeRoMaRinE making the moves. Clem hasn't gotten much else to go on. He's hoping for a really, really good fight. And so far, it's been fights. It's been, you know, I'm living. If it is anymore. HeRoMaRinE can break him once again. That planetary will have Liberators and tanks on top of it, but it looks like Clem's gonna try and break HeRoMaRinE. A bit haphazardly, though, and doesn't really work out. A couple of Marines, a couple of tanks ran forward. It's been some stragglers, almost. More SCVs are falling. This time, the Liberator harassment. I do think that you could lose a couple of SCVs. But Liberators not just looking for SCV kills, also distractions. If they pull any Vikings away from the main fight, that could be big. Clem's not gonna fall for that, though. Probably just gonna build missile turrets. You know, 4 in each base. That hopefully covers it. Transformation servos on the way for HeRoMaRinE. I do think that's been more useful than the medevac upgrade's been. Because that it helps the Vikings. There's no Hellbats here. There's no Thors here. But it does help the Vikings land if they see an opportunity. Ah, still no missile turrets. And now it's double Liberator harassment. That is going to pull something away. A single Viking's gonna come and deal with this. It's gonna take a while. And neither one of these players has really built up that much of a bank because we've been constantly having to rebuild armies. There have been constant fights here. Resources lost is very, very, very close for a 22-minute TvT. I'm getting closer with Clem. Finally, this tug of war that was consistently HeRoMaRinE slightly, barely, ever so slightly favored is finally going into Clem's favor. As we have a big engagement going down, Clem has a fantastic concave, but are the numbers there from the Vikings? A very even Viking count with even Viking upgrades. And who is going to win it? It seems like Clem might be winning this actual fight right here, right now, as HeRoMaRinE's reinforcements are just too late to the party. And I think they are too late. And that means that any Liberators that Clem has could actually come forward and start taking out these tanks, but he doesn't have any. He's trying to build them. He's trying to get them across the map. Where the heck are they? There, finally they come. Clem also has tanks and Marines. Not many. But some looking to hit planetaries and hit SCV lines, distract HeRoMaRinE, force them to finally engage somewhere other than just the main engagement, which has been so much of this game. And HeRoMaRinE, with a couple extra seconds, the Liberators having to reinforce, is trying to get this. Oh, he's not gonna get it. He's trying to get missile turrets up. But it doesn't work out. And now that he's collected his Vikings together, they're all very healthy as well, but over Marine is not the best way to do it. Clem is not going to find much more wiggle room under the top. I thought he was. I thought he was going to get just a couple inches closer, as we're talking about inches here. But apparently not. The Raiders will kill the tanks. At this point, I think that was a very much a... They'll kill... Oh no! Oh my god, HeRoMaRine's not paying attention! Oh my god, HeRoMaRinE! He's gonna lose all of his Vikings! It's because he was attacking this, which is a freebie. It's an orbital, so anything killing that, you know, that's easy enough. But I don't know if that's worth losing all your Vikings. HeRoMaRinE, neither one of these guys has a bank! I mean, killing economies, you know, if a bank is important as well. Certainly. And HeRoMaRinE is looking for some revenge from the earlier attempted attack from Clem, but to lose all your Vikings and then not even get the command center. Even if you did, I mean, it's like you guys have extra command centers. I don't know. Losing the Vikings, big mistake, potentially game-ending mistake from HeRoMaRinE. He had such a Viking lead. And Clem's gonna reposition too, so all the missile turrets that he brought up to try and save and hold the line are not here in the bottom left. Clem's gonna potentially get 2 bases. Planetary and orbital. HeRoMaRine's still trying to kind of break out, but it's actually not even a break. There's only 2 tanks left over. Clem is eventually going to have to give up that position. 2 tanks here as well, not even sieged. Gonna give up this position. They're scouting tanks. They're gonna tell HeRoMaRinE, tell Clem that HeRoMaRinE is actually coming to the middle of the map. HeRoMaRinE does have 3-3 on his Vikings now, but I don't think it was there for the last fight. It's also so difficult to say that Viking upgrades matter. With the way that they shoot, you know, they're the slow shooters that upgrades matter less than the fast shooters like Marines, where upgrades matter a ton. But yes, there has been HeRoMaRinE favored on the upgrades for a little while. Now it's all evened up. Now everyone's got everything. Well, they never went for building upgrades. I'm still surprised by that. Oh, okay, Clem did. I like that. Clem's also the one now banking a considerable amount while also being maxed. So it seems like he is winning this game. Finally, like, can say that someone is actually winning this game. HeRoMaRinE has the Viking lead, however, and Clem is taking a fight that he cannot win, so he's going to have a difficult time replacing that. But then again, over the Marines, bit too long on the chase there. Now it's 16 Vikings to 14. Clem's almost to the point of winning this fight. HeRoMaRiNE's struggling to afford to replace Vikings. He will eventually lose this game at this rate. He's got to take care of his opponent's bases, take a really good fight, or go back to expanding, which he's not even trying to take a cheeky, like, hidden orbital in the bottom left. Clem's gonna take this fight. He does have more Vikings. HeRoMaRiNE's Marines try and jump top of the Vikings of his opponent, but then get blasted by the tanks. And Clem is now up 5 Vikings. He's still got Liberators. He got twice the tank count. HeRoMaRiNE has Marines, and they all better be heroes. That's the only way he's gonna win this game. Some Liberators sieging up on the tanks of Clem are actually not being punished, so that's working out decent enough. The tanks all on siege, and here comes HeRoMaRiNE trying to actually win this base of pure Marine. He's gonna chase them down, but they get distracted by a single lone siege tank, which means that all of these tanks will siege up. The Liberators try to siege on top of them, but it's not going to be enough. HeRoMaRiNE dips down below 100 supply, and we'll have to tap out. GG. Dear God. Jesus. Criminy. These guys didn't think there was going to be this type of best of 5. But it's this type of best of 5. 1-1, all tied up. Two 20-plus minute games. I think last game was like 17 minutes, actually. But that one was 27. It's a good thing I'm solo casting. I wouldn't want anyone else taking all this glory. Why is TvT such a slugfest? Most comeback potential. I'm actually gonna be right back. I'm in lobby. It's gonna be on Oxide. But I'm going to go grab some more water. All right. Totally ready to go for the rest of the series now. In the top right for Team Liquid, he is Clem. On the bottom left, we have Team Mao's Esports HeRoMaRinE. You think they get mad when people say Team Mao's instead of Mao's Esports? Maybe they do, maybe they do. Ah. Water's delicious when you want it, you know? When you don't want it, it's like, meh. But when you do want it, it's pretty good. You got Factory Expand and Factory Expands. Have any? I don't think there's been a One Rocks Expand yet. That could have been the first game, I actually didn't notice. Last game started off with Clem in a little bit better of a spot. Didn't go for so many attacking units and yet defended well. HeRoMaRinE went for additional Reapers, Hellions, one extra Cyclone. Didn't do a whole lot. But it wasn't a game where he was far behind. It was very, very even, which gave us 27 minutes of TvT. And even when it felt like HeRoMaRinE was finally getting all the victories, he was taking slightly better engagements, he was getting that huge attack on the third base that killed the orbital. It was at a time where killing an orbital didn't really end the game. It was like a, meh, yes, that sucked, but as long as it doesn't happen 2 or 3 times, it's fine. So it really was all about who was going to win the Viking War, who was playing the very, very, very late game TvT better. And I'd say that Clem played it 100% better. Was like, you'd need more samples before you said that 100%. That was a game where a lot of the late game was actually even HeRoMaRinE favored to a degree, like very slightly. Again, a little tug of war that was happening. It was centimeters won by HeRoMaRinE for a good 5 or 6 minutes. Centimeters, like not big. But it was going a little his way for longer. But when Clem finally got things going his way, I think it was more of like that was where he was gaining inches and eventually feet. Or meters, okay? So, I don't know if I want to say that Clem is always going to win that type of game. No. Definitely not. They both seem very, very well matched. And it can be a little more about the openers, like who gets a couple of surprise kills, or who finds each other out of position, because that has been happening a decent amount. First game was a base race. Very, 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 very similar openers. Down to the water mine. Oh. Is it cool if we just chill? Is it cool if we just like wait for things to happen? This is clever. Looking to stop any potential medevac drop. Oxide has been popular for it in the past. Very popular for the one tank, one medevac drop that hits here. Funnily enough, neither one of them are doing it. So that's what mine's not going to be useful. I love the idea though. I love it. First it's for the Reaper Hellions. Then it's for the drop. Who knows where the Widow Mine will end up next? Probably in a scouting angle? Maybe like here or here? He's pushing with it. Okay, we'll see if this does anything. HeRoMaRiNE's not gonna scout it. His Reapers go to the right. I don't think they saw that. I don't... Well, this Widow Mine does. Kills the Hellion too. Reapers don't actually go into the main. A scan is instead used. It's gonna see the third CC timing. Tank production already underway. Was shy of seeing the swap, because that actually might not be happening. It is, but for HeRoMaRiNE, he's not 100% sure that Vikings are on the way. These Reapers might have just gotten that scout. They did. Because the other choice is to go into faster barracks and more Marines. But since neither player is doing that, we shan't talk about the differences. They're doing the exact same thing. It is tanks and Vikings, a lot of few but powerful units, and as long as no one wins based off of this unit composition, based off of better Raven usage, better positioning, then eventually we'll talk about just the numerous amount of Marines and their concaves. It's TvT. The start of it's so tech dependent, which is why the 111 is the most popular opener, like really the only opener. And then the mid game is a lot about just the number of units and where the hell are they. So some spotters here for Clem, one on each potential third, although Terrans take the triangle every time. Little Hellion drive-by. Imagine if the Hellions could be outfitted with like a little guy with a machine gun. So they became like really, really long distance fire. And it's an actual drive-by. Sometime in the future. StarCraft 4. This Marine spotter sees that HeRoMaRiNE's moving somewhat aggressively. But they're both matching each other so well, I don't actually think anyone's gonna... This is... I don't think anyone's gonna have a ton of... Oh, whoa, 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 HeRoMaRiNE's not paying attention! Oh my god, no! Oh, and he traps them! Oh, he tried to trap them. He tried to trap with the auto turrets. It still works. Both tanks fall. Third one gets very injured. HeRoMaRiNE didn't realize that his army was gonna get AI'd like that. Oh, that is so huge. That is so big. And now I think Clem might just win. He kills both of HeRoMaRiNE's Ravens. Clem's Vikings land on one tank, leaving only one tank left over for HeRoMaRiNE to try and hold. HeRoMaRiNE's Vikings could land, but I don't know if that would actually be that great. He's gonna try and hold. There's still some Marines. There's HeRoMaRiNE's up against Clem's own landed Vikings, and that is game. Oh man, those units getting AI'd is actually huge. If he didn't attack move, they would have kept going. I didn't think that was gonna happen, but that's why I was like, oh, maybe there is gonna be a reason to take an engagement. But they had they had the exact same army, exact same. Hello. What you doing? I don't know how I'm gonna move this cat tower. I think I am going to deconstruct it. The movers could probably move it as a whole. Maybe I'll just take off like the extra parts, like the ladder and the hammock. So Clem takes a 2-1 lead, and now we move on to Blackburn, which is just gonna be... I don't know about this. This map just feels like it's gonna cause a lot of clusterfucks. I don't know. I don't know why. It doesn't actually matter where the names are in a map like this. It just feels like Clem's in the top. He's actually in the bottom left, up 2-1. HeRoMaRiNE's in the bottom right. So Blackburn, it's got this drop me type of main base, even with the slow zones around it. It's a lot of space. Ultimately good for drops. In a sense, means it can be easier to clean up because you can actually get a concave. You know, if the tanks are here, what are they firing, first of all? And then second of all, get more of a concave on it, but... Point is, you can unload a lot before they respond. That might play an issue. That might happen. Hasn't really been a whole lot of doom dropping happening in this TvT, but... There has been a decent amount of outpositioning. Apollo has his Helnaga. You can see everything. I love when he dangles his arms off. He does that on the couch too. Silly boy. Factory expand, factory expand. They're just taking the threat of early game seriously. Is, I mean, sometimes it's they both are wanting to be aggressive, but last game they both just sat at home and were like, well, are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it? And they just sat at home with the exact same build, exact same composition, and exact same units, and well, HeRoMaRiNE still lost in quite a devastating way. It's very one-sided. So those 2 tanks were down. Maybe it could have been salvaged even after the 2 tanks were killed. If Oxide didn't have that pillar in the middle that kind of created a problem too. But it was pretty much over. Little Reaper scuffle. Scuffle, scuffle, scuffle. Command Center, Reaper, Reaper, Hellion, Hellion. Do something different. Right, we do something different. Clem's building more Reapers and more Hellions. So he's going to be trying to hit HeRoMaRiNE. So there's a ramp in this map, the natural, which gives it a little more of that defensive property. But there is a Reaper hop up in the back. So the Hellions go main, Reapers in the back. It could work. It actually looks like hitting the natural will work plenty. Because HeRoMaRiNE's not taking advantage of the natural ramp. He's playing it safe and taking advantage of the main ramp. So this means that his command center could be delayed, but then he's, you know, he has that safety of waiting for the Marines, waiting for the factory. So they're exactly what's happening. It also means that his opponent actually gets a concave, which can be a little scary. But HeRoMaRiNE is He's okay with it for now. Just gonna wait for the factory unit to pop out. A couple more Marines. Saves the 2 SCVs in the command center, so delays the orbital still. And Clem can be pretty happy with how this went, honestly. His orbital's already done. He's still tangling with the Reaper and the Hellion. Specifically want to take those out. There you go. Clem gets a slight advantage there. They're gonna bother repairing the Hellions, which, you know, they usually don't add very much as the game goes on from here. But maybe they could. Clem starting his 3rd command center on location on a new map. It's bold. Clem's going to a 2nd Raven, whereas HeRoMaRinE actually goes into a very fast swap off into a starport for additional Vikings. This could accelerate his push, which could actually be extremely deadly to a person who's going for an on-base third command center. At any rate, HeRoMaRinE does have to push or get his 3rd CC started now on location. And the more he doesn't do the latter, the more he has to do the former, because he is getting way behind. But I do think this push could actually do a lot of damage. Now, the longer he waits, the more that Clem has the potential to just lift this base, which is another really important thing. Clem's gonna come out here and try and intercept any type of push. It's a lock on a Marine's not what he wanted. But he still sees it. He's gonna buy as much time as possible. I feel like Clem is already in a better position. The 2 Ravens are also really important here. HeRoMaRinE, for going the 2nd Raven for faster Vikings can be, you know, can be good. Can be. I don't think it's being as good as it can be. I'm gonna like these additional auto turrets more. Clem seeing and anticipating the push, defending it kind of in a forward position also means he doesn't have to worry about giving up his 3rd location. He even saves the goddamn Reaper. Oh my god. He even saves the Reapers. Oh my god, HeRoMaRinE chase it. Oh my god, Clem actually being the aggressive one, slaps down auto turret, sieges up the tanks, and HeRoMaRinE, well, that gambit did not pay off, did it? He loses everything on the ground and is lucky to escape with all of his Vikings and his Raven. So Clem's gonna continue the push. Good focus fire there, kills the Cyclone. He's gonna maybe look for the tank. Nope, gonna try and skedaddle. Now it's HeRoMaRinE landing all of his Vikings. The regular tank DPS is gonna have to be good enough. Not really any time to siege, and it seems good enough to me. Auto turret taken out. The last 3 Vikings going to fall for the exchange of 2 tanks. So making it as good as possible. And the Raven will barely survive. Hello? Oh my god! Oh my god, wait. Okay, and the Raven will barely survive. And Clem ultimately takes the lead. Like, a huge lead. HeRoMaRinE's 3rd CC is only just starting, you guys. Clem is in a tremendous lead. There's no way that HeRoMaRinE brings this back at this point, because not only is the 3rd CC faster, that is huge, absolutely. It's because he just lost his army. Like, if he had an army, and you know, he had a better army, ideally, then there's a lot of possibilities, but he's on a worse army than his opponent, who already has his 3rd as an orbital in mining. And HeRoMaRinE's not even gonna bother trying to take this fight. GG, Clem takes a 3-1. The last 2 games end up being more, I think, of what we all agreed we thought was going to happen. But they gave us 2 very long, very interesting TvTs to start it off. Ultimately goes to Clem. Clem has... He's gonna catch up to the amount of open cups HeRoMaRinE has won. That's for sure. It's eventually going to happen. And that's it.